So today we're gonna do something a little different. I just wrapped up one of my Whatnot shows. This was my best show to date over on Whatnot. I think I've had like 9 or 10 shows. My toy shows have done the best so far. So that gives me an idea of what to run on my next shows. But today I figured I'll do like a ship with me type of video, especially coming from someone that's new to Whatnot. I'll tell you what settings that I used. I might have made some mistakes on there. You're gonna see here if I end up paying out of pocket for shipping, which I probably will because I have a lot of packages here. Some of them, like this one, should be pretty easy. Like if anything fits into one of these large flat rate boxes, that's easy. Their whole order goes in there, seal it up, and it's good, good to go. But if we have bigger orders like this one, some big items like those, this one should be pretty straightforward. That can fit in there. I have like this order is really big. It has some big items in there. Obviously it doesn't fit into the box, so that's gonna have to be separated into a few different boxes. This one, I have priority mail set up in my show, but if it's under 1 pound, Whatnot automatically goes down to Ground Advantage. So that I can put into like a small box or even like a bubble mailer. Just make sure I protect that good. But that's gonna be easy. That's gonna be one of the tougher ones. And these are all the different buyer orders that are going out. So I'm a little nervous. I'm gonna cross my fingers. Hopefully I did this right. What I did in the shipping profile or the shipping settings before my show, I did anything from 1 to 5 pounds, priority mail, and then anything over 5 pounds, I did Ground Advantage. I'm still messing around with the settings, so hopefully I did good on that. But let's get started here. I have my table right here with my scale. I have my tape gun. I have everything ready to go. So I'll just set the camera up. As I go through all this, I'll just bring you along with me and see how we end up doing. I think I'm gonna start off with the easiest ones first, just to get the small things out of the way, and then all the big packages I can work with separately. So again, the buyer purchased 1 item on this one. So this one is going Ground Advantage. I just checked in my computer. So when you upload your listings before the show, you kind of put things into different categories. This one I put 4 to 7 ounces. And this one, it always goes on the high end, so it went to 7 ounces. Whatnot does give you a little bit of grace on the weight. So if it does happen to go over, I think I can probably go up to like 12 ounces without it charging me more. But this should be safe in a bubble mailer. So I'm just gonna throw this in a bubble mailer. I'll test it and see how that feels. If it doesn't feel secure, I'll throw it in a box. The last thing I want is for this thing to get all folded or open up. So I'm gonna see what it looks like in a bubble mailer. So I have these right here. These are free supplies that I ordered from the post office. I mean, it'll definitely fit in there, but I just don't want it to get bent or nothing. Like, let's see. See, that's kind of sketchy. I don't know if I want to do that. I think I'm going to throw it in a box. I have these, which I also ordered from the post office. They're like the shoebox ones. They're called Ground Advantage Box 2, so GA Box 2. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this up. So I'll tape this like that. Drop that right in there. Yeah, that can be cut down quite a bit. So I'm just going to cut it here, there, more or less right there, right about there. And then I use my little box reshaper tool. I don't know if you can see that. It has a little wheel at the end. This thing comes in clutch. So what you do is you kind of score it where you want it to fold. So like right. So what I'm doing is just going like that up through the inside, and it should, see, look at that, it breaks down. So you do that, and then I just fold them in, cut off the excess. I'm gonna put a little bit of packing paper in there, obviously, because this thing's moving around a lot. But we'll put that like this. Boom, look at that. So that weighs 10 ounces. So I'm hoping it stays under the weight that it's gonna charge me. I'm just gonna cut some of this stuff off. Yeah, that's a lot better. I like that a lot better than the bubble mailer. So 9 ounces, I should be good as long as it's not over 12. I like to put thank you notes in each of my packages. I got these index cards for that. So I'm just gonna write some thank you notes, put it in here, and then this one's done. All right, so I got that label printed out. This came out to 9 ounces. And just to, like for future reference and just so you know, on Ground Advantage, I played around with the settings and I went all the way up to 15 ounces. Again, I had this at 7. I went all the way up to 15 ounces and it let me do it at no adjustment, so no charges to me. Once I went up to 16 ounces, which is 1 pound, it charged me $4.50 or something like that. So even though I had it at 7 ounces, I can go all the way up to 15 ounces at no charge, which is good to know. So the easiest package is out of the way. Let's move on to one of the harder ones. So we're gonna move on to one of the bigger ones, which is this one. Now, when you do big items on Whatnot, the way that's recommended, as far as what I'm understanding, is you wanna create, and I talked about this in my Whatnot videos. I'll link it up here if you wanna check it out. It talks about the different settings, but instead of having something like this bundle with the rest of this stuff, what you can do is create a separate listing just for this one. And you can do a max bundle of 1. So meaning this should be a separate order in its own box and its own shipping label. The rest of this stuff will ship in its own box with a different shipping label. So it's gonna go up to 5 pounds. Every 5 pounds, Whatnot is gonna break it into another bundle. So we're gonna see how many, this is one order from one buyer, but I'm gonna go on my computer and see how many different orders it broke it down into. So this is, let's see the buyer's name. Okay, Nurse. So let's see here. I'll show you real quick here. I won't show the screen every time. I just want you to get an idea here. So the buyer is right here. So they got one order with 4 items, another order with 1 item, another order with 8 items. Technically, I can break this down into 1, 2, 3 different boxes, which is good. And they're all priority. So what that means is I can just get 3 flat rate boxes, make it really easy. Get 3 flat rate boxes, just shove them in there with whatever fits in each one. And then each one will have its own different shipping label. Hopefully that makes sense. So this is what it's gonna look like. So this is all their order right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the flat rate box, which I have a stack of flat rate boxes down there. So we're gonna go ahead and put a piece of tape on here just so this sticks. So this is box number 1. And if I use only 2 boxes, I can bundle the shipments together and just create 2 labels instead of 3, if that makes sense. So let's say I do 2 flat rate boxes and this is the only thing left. Instead of putting this in its own box, I can just shove it in one of those boxes and then bundle that plush with the rest of the stuff, and it'll ship with the other ones. I know it's a little confusing, but so here we go. So let's do, I kind of want to ship this on its own. This was a really nice bag. This was a brand new Loungefly bag. I think this deserves its own bag. So let's do this. Let's put this in here, or its own box, I mean. All right, we're gonna put that in there. I'm gonna ship this on its own. I don't want anything happening to this. All right, that's package number 1. So I'll just tape this up real quick. I don't want to risk anything else like damaging that bag. All right, that should be good. So that's box number 1. So large flat rate box. So what I'm gonna do is look for their name, look for the one that has 1 item. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on the pencil here and I'm gonna adjust. It doesn't really matter with flat rate about the weight, but I just like to do it. So this is 1 pound, 13 ounces. So I'll just leave it 32. It's 29 ounces, but I'll leave it at 32. I'll click right here, flat rate. This was a large box. And you can see right here, 0. It's not charging me anything. So I'm just going from priority box to a flat rate box. And that one is good, save changes. And just like that, there's the label right there, large flat rate box label. I'll go ahead and stick this on the box. That one is done. Since they are going to get multiple packages, what I like to do is, once I know how many boxes they have, I'll just put like 1 of 3, 1 of 2, 1 of 1. That way they know how many boxes they have coming their way. So this is the first order. I had to use my glasses for the computer. That's the first order. I'm gonna grab another flat rate box. And it's gonna be the same process for the rest of them. So I won't show you every single package, but I just want to give you an idea of what that's going to look like. Because a lot of people are intimidated, including me. Like, Whatnot shipping is a little intimidating. So I'll go ahead and just put a piece of tape on there to hold it. And let's see how many things we can stuff in here. These things are really cool. These all like, you can hear the song it plays. These are all Build-A-Bear, and they're all scented too. Hopefully it doesn't start singing on the road. We're gonna put in 1, and we're gonna put in 2. Let's see if anything else fits in here. We'll put, again, whatever fits in this box will ship. It doesn't matter how heavy it is. It can be up to 70 pounds. So we're gonna stuff this in there. These are all plush, so they can be compacted down. As long as the rest of this stuff fits in the 3rd flat rate box, I am good. So let's see if I find anything else small. These are some dolls. I'll put this right in there. All right, there we go. That's box number 2. So we're gonna stick that on there. So it's actually, if you set it up right, it's not too bad. I just hope there's always a chance that I mess something up. So let's see, that's box number 2. And then everything else should fit in the 3rd box. Hopefully. I've screwed up before where I thought it would all fit into a box and it didn't. And I had to open up one of the other boxes and kind of create some room in the other box. So that can happen as well. All right, let's see if these all fit. This is what's left. LOL surprise doll. This was a lot of dolls, like little Hello Kitty dolls. And then we have 2 of these pretty cool dolls. So this one, which I thought was one of the harder ones, is done. Looks like I'm finally getting the hang of Whatnot shipping. So like I said, what I'm gonna do is grab this big Sharpie. Now that I know they have 3 packages, I'll do 1 of 3. So it'll look just like that. So there we go. This customer's order is on its way. And I gotta be careful because a lot of times I've done it where I left like one item in one of those boxes, then I'll have to cut everything open and repack it again. So I have to be more careful with that. But there is a second order, one of the bigger ones. Now you can see that one order is into 3 different boxes here. So it's pretty much gonna be the same routine for the rest of these. So what I'm probably gonna do is just either time lapse it or just keep it going. And if anything comes up that kind of stumbles me or something that you should know about, I'll jump back in here and explain what's going on. But for now, you can watch me pack all this stuff up and ship it if that's your thing. So I'm gonna get started on all of these. So let's see how long it takes me without talking while I'm doing the packing as well. So that didn't take me very long to jump back in here. I wanted to show you this because this is that flat rate box. Technically this stuff fits in there, but like I would have to bend it to kind of make it fit, and I don't want to risk the top of this like getting damaged. So luckily in my shipping settings, I put priority mail, not flat rate. I'm not sure if you can go back and forth between like flat rate and priority, but here's what I mean. So this is the flat rate box. It shows right here the diameter. It says outside diameter 12.25 inch by 12 by 6. They do have a priority large shipping box. So this is different from flat rate. This actually goes by weight. So the more weight, obviously, the more expensive it is. Not like this one where anything you can shove in there ships for flat rate. This one, luckily, I put priority as my first setting in Whatnot. So I can technically move all this over here, and that fits so much better. There's way more room in there where now I can fold it up and nothing hits. And since I weighed everything out before the show, I just double checked in the computer and it's gonna ship for the same price. So I don't have to worry about any adjustments. So you can see the difference in size there. So there's about a 2-inch difference there, and that just fits perfectly in there. So we're gonna skip the flat rate on this one. We're gonna put it into here and that should be fine. So I just wanted to jump in here and say that. All right, we got a couple more packages done, but here's something else I want to bring up. So this buyer right here ordered these 5 things. They are small items, so I don't need a large flat rate box. It's just going to be way too big. So what I can either do is go down to like a medium. This one might even be too big as well. Now priority, you could send in like a plain brown box or even a poly mailer. So it doesn't have to be a priority box. So priority mail, as long as you have the priority shipping label, you can put it onto a plain brown box. You just can't put it in something like this, which is a Ground Advantage. This has to be a Ground Advantage label. But something like this, I can probably even fit into, I might have a small box. Let me see if this works. This might be too small. Ooh, almost. 1, 2, let's see. Yeah, this is a little too small. Let's see if I stand them up maybe. All right, so, but just for an example, this was a little too small, but I can find a plain brown box and put these in and then just put the priority label on there and it's good. So it doesn't have to be a priority box, and you could go down from large to medium. All right, I'm jumping back in here because this one's gonna be another one that's gonna be a little trickier. So this buyer ordered some big items. Like this is not gonna fit in a flat rate box because it is just too big. It's not gonna fit in there. And then I still have to fit the big plush. This was actually a buyer giveaway. So they didn't pay anything for this. I'm just throwing it in their box. And then this is another big item, some comics and stuff like that. So what I can do, I think I can go up to 16 inches tall because it has to be 12, 12, 12. But if I do like 16, 10, 9 or something, so as long as it fits within that cubic dimensions, now I sound like a nerd. As long as it fits within like those measurements. So what I'm gonna have to do is find my own shipping box, fit that all in there, and hopefully I can keep it under 16 inches. So let me go find one and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, right now I can't find a box that's big enough. Everything else fit inside this box. It's just this is not gonna fit. So I gotta look for a bigger box. I don't have one in front of me. I'm gonna go look tomorrow to see if I can find one. So I'm just gonna put this to the side for now. And I have two shipments left. This is all I have left is this one right here, which should fit into like 2 boxes. And then this one right here, this is gonna be 1 box because I sold large plush as a bundle of 2. So that's gonna fit into 1 box. And the rest of that can fit in another box. So these are pretty straightforward. The only thing I've been having a tie up with is this one right here. So I just need to find a box that's a little bigger than that so I can shove that plush in there, and then I should be wrapped up. There's all the rest of the things that are already packed up and ready to go. So this is the box I had to make. I still have to tape it back together a little better. It's not the best looking box. I had to make this box because I had no other ones big enough. So this one is 15 by 12 by 9, but it went over by 4 ounces. So the maximum is 80 ounces, which is 5 pounds. It went over by 4 ounces. That's only because I did that free giveaway with that big old plush and that put it over the top. But still, that's the only package I was over on. You can see right there, 84 ounces, 15, 12, 9. That would have cost me $4.25. Whatnot does give you 5 credits per show, I think, or per week. I need to clarify that. I think it's per week. So negative $4.25. And it's going to cost me $0 because I'm using 1 of my 5 credits. All the other packages were fine. This is the only one that went over by $4, but again, it is covered. So that's it for all the orders. Here they are right here. We have 53 total orders in there. All these boxes, the only one I had to make again was this one right here. The rest of it was pretty straightforward. I have to say, I'm pretty proud of myself. This is the biggest show that I've had to date on Whatnot. I'll show you the breakdown on the computer here, but the only thing that would have cost me was that big giveaway that I did. And I could have easily avoided that. I didn't plan on doing a buyer's giveaway. If I would have set that up before the show, it would have ran and it would have been part of it. I wouldn't have to pay or use the credit that I used, but I did it kind of weird. I ended up just like putting names inside of like writing it on cards and shuffling them and just pulling one out and choosing the winner that way. So I had to pay the shipping for that one, which was $4 because it was bigger than what fit in the box. I already explained all that, but that's the only thing that would have cost me money, and it was only $4 out of a $350 order. But there's the breakdown: $350 after fees, $276.58. I did 2 giveaways, $14.65. If I didn't do those, it would have been about $290 in earnings after the fees. But that's part of it. I don't mind doing the giveaways. That's part of it. Again, 53 items sold. And that show actually only took me 2.5 hours. My other shows I ran for like 3 or 4 hours and made a little less. So this was actually a really successful show. I learned a lot from this one. I'm starting to get a hang of the shipping. I'm having fun over on Whatnot. So I'm really glad that I jumped over there. Again, I'm having shows every Tuesday and Thursday on Whatnot. So if you ever want to catch one of my shows, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern is when I do those. But I know this was a little bit of a different video. I'm not going to do too much of this style video, but hopefully you got something out of it. If you do have any questions about Whatnot shipping, again, I am a noob at this, but I am learning. So if you're brand new, you need a couple tips here and there, I'm glad to help you with whatever I do know so far. Or if you have any tips for those of you that are more experienced, make sure you drop them down in the comments. But that's going to do it for today's video. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one.